that if you're watching this and you think that LeBron James and Meghan Markle and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are oppressed, you are a fool. You have been fooled. They are doing just fine.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, we dive into a shocking revelation that has left even the most seasoned commentators reeling. In a recent segment, Tucker Carlson's expression says it all: disgust, disbelief, and a burning desire for the truth. As we peel back the layers, a startling secret from the Obama era comes to light, one that could change everything you thought you knew. Stay tuned as we unravel the details that have been lurking in the shadows, waiting to be exposed. Let's get into it.
Michelle Obama goes to Princeton for free, and has been in the ruling class her whole life. And she's still lecturing you about how she's a victim of racism. Hillary Clinton, exact same thing. Goes to Wellesley, spends her entire life in the ruling class, and she's still whining about how she's discriminated against. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, and did you ever see, they'll have like pictures of side by side, but it'll be like pictures of like Jimmy Carter's house and Obama's house.
Exactly.
And it totally represents something about the like corroding of our soul.
In a white neighborhood, you should be required to live in the hood if you're Barack Obama, and
if you're using that card,
use that card. The only reason you got elected was because of your race. You spent your entire 8 years inflaming race hate in our country, and then you go to Martha's Vineyard, the whitest zip code in the world? Not allowed. You're not allowed to do that.
Wait, what did he just say? You could practically hear the silence in the studio after this one, as Tucker Carlson's guest completely tore apart the mainstream narrative surrounding the Obama legacy. And let's just say it wasn't pretty. From identity politics to massive financial gains, this discussion laid everything bare, leaving Tucker Carlson visibly stunned. But honestly, are we even surprised? Because at this point, the hypocrisy is just too big to ignore. Before we dive into the eye-opening truths they just exposed, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into stories the media won't touch. Did you subscribe? Awesome. Now, let's get into it. All right, let's start with a number that might make your jaw drop. When Barack Obama took office in 2008, his net worth was estimated at $1.3 million. Nothing crazy for a U.S. senator. Fast forward to today, and suddenly he's sitting on $70 million or more. I mean, that's quite the upgrade, isn't it? And of course, we're all supposed to believe that this massive fortune came solely from book deals and speaking fees, because it's not like there's a well-oiled machine of influence, favors, and financial back channels operating behind the scenes, right? Yeah, sure. But let's not stop there, because it's not just Obama. Tucker's guest broke down how identity politics has become one of the most lucrative businesses in modern history. And guess who's been cashing in the most? The Obamas, the Clintons, and the Bidens. It's like a gold mine of victimhood, and they've turned it into a multi-million-dollar industry. Now here's where things get really absurd. Tucker's guest pointed out something we all should have noticed by now. These same people who constantly lecture the country about privilege, systemic oppression, and inequality are the same ones buying multi-million-dollar mansions in Martha's Vineyard in Hawaii. Seriously, Michelle Obama says she lives in fear for her daughters in America while simultaneously spending millions on beachfront estates. Are we supposed to believe she's struggling like everyday Americans? Because last time I checked, most oppressed people don't live in $12 million mansions on private islands.
Barack Obama's campaign in 2008, first of all, it was just leaving how you feel about the guy aside, it was an amazing campaign. It was unlike anything that had ever been run before.
It was genius.
Yes, it was totally brilliant. It was now, of course, it wasn't what they presented it as. It wasn't like a grassroots campaign. It was,
let's sort of like elect the black guy and get past the race stuff. I loved that.
Well, especially because that was his message.
That was his message.
And let's get past the race stuff.
I love that.
He goes, then I think essentially what happened, and it was around Obama's re-election campaign, this is where things really went off the rails in this country, was that he got in there and continued and expanded all the worst of the Bush policies.
Oh, of course.
And so they almost had nothing to run on, and so they decided to pivot to a culture war instead.
Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things start to get really interesting. Barack Obama charges around $400,000 per speaking engagement. Michelle Obama up to $700,000. The Clintons, they raked in over $230 million in post office speaking deals.
Many of us still live in fear as we go to the grocery store or worry about walking our dogs or allowing our children to get a license. I mean, just imagine.
Aren't your girls driving?
They're driving.
Yeah.
But every time they get in a car by themselves, I worry about what assumption is being made by somebody who doesn't know everything about them. The fact that they are good students and polite girls, but maybe they're playing their music a little loud. Maybe somebody sees the back of their head and makes an assumption. I, like so many parents of black kids, have to, that the innocent act of getting a license puts fear in our hearts.
I mean, come on. What exactly are they saying in these speeches that's worth that much? Oh, right. They're not being paid for their speeches. They're being paid for their influence. It's a pay-to-play game. And guess what? Regular Americans aren't invited. And if you think this is just about sharing ideas and motivating people, think again. The real money isn't just in speeches. It's in book deals, media partnerships, and charitable foundations that somehow never seem to solve any problems. Just look at the numbers. The Obamas signed a $65 million book deal, right, after leaving the White House. The Bidens raked in $16 million in just 2 years after stepping down. And let's not forget, the Clintons turned their charity into a $230 million cash machine. And what do they all have in common? They use their platforms to push division and identity politics because it keeps the money flowing. But here's the kicker. These same people who constantly talk about equity and justice are the ones actually benefiting the most from corrupt financial loopholes. They cry about corporate greed, but they are the corporations. They tell Americans to pay their fair share, but they move their money through tax havens and nonprofits, and they scream about climate change, but somehow they can fly private to their multi-million-dollar estates without a single care.
I notice a theme here. There are a lot of extremely rich people who are deeply miserable and desperate to have you believe they're victims. What is that?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, LeBron James living in Bel Air, he's a victim. Meghan Markle went downgraded from billionaire to multimillionaire. She's a victim. They want you to know that they're all victims. It's because they're trying to distract us. The truth is that they view us as peasants. They're trying to make it seem like, hey, when the peasants turn against us because they're actually robbing all of them, we don't want them to look at us. We want to make them think that we're one of us. They're not one of us. They're nothing like us. They don't live like us. She has nothing that goes on in her life that is similar to the average American, yet she keeps trying to use her skin color and her complexion as a way to make people believe that she's suffering, and she's absolutely not suffering. And everyone should be aware that if you're watching this and you think that LeBron James and Meghan Markle and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are oppressed, you are a fool. You have been fooled. They are doing just fine.
But see the pattern yet? At the end of the day, this isn't about race, oppression, or fighting for the little guy. It's about money, power, and control, and Tucker Carlson's guest just laid it all out for the world to see. So, the real question is, are people finally waking up to it, or will the media continue to run cover for them while demonizing anyone who dares to call it out? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe. Your support means everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.